The pounding started hard enough to shake the thin wood of the door. She sat up fast, heart still tied to dreams, breath sharp. For a moment she thought the sound came from inside her head, a memory pounding against bone. Then another knock came, heavier, dragging her to her feet. She pulled her shawl tight and moved slowly across the floorboards. The night air pressed cold against her face when she opened the door. He stood there, the wagon wheel maker, dust clinging to his coat like he had walked half the county. In his arms was a bundled shape, small, restless, and alive. The baby's cry cut through the silence like a knife. She gripped the edge of the door. "What are you doing here?" His eyes didn't blink. "She needs the same kind of love you gave me." Her chest locked. "What did you say?" "You heard me." His voice was rough, like stone dragged on stone. "Take her." She shook her head. "Number, I don't know this child. I don't know what you mean." "You know exactly what I mean." He pushed the bundle forward. The baby whimpered, a sound that made her stomach twist. She stepped back, but he followed. "Why would you bring her here?" "Because there's no one else. You can't just hand me a baby in the middle of the night." He set his jaw. "I can. And I have." The cry grew louder, filling the small porch, filling her chest until she thought her ribs would split. She reached out without meaning to, her hands shaking as the weight of the baby passed into her arms. Warmth hit her like fire through cloth. She looked down at the face, pink, fragile, eyes closed tight. Her voice dropped low. "Whose child is this?" He didn't answer. "Tell me." "I won't." "You will. Number, all you need to know is she's yours now." "She isn't mine." "She is, if you keep holding her." The words pinned her in place. She wanted to hand the baby back, to shove the bundle into his chest and slam the door. But the baby's breathing shifted, tiny lungs pulling in air, pressing a rhythm against her arm. She felt her throat burn. He stepped closer. "You once pulled me from a ditch when no one else cared if I lived or died. You wrapped my ribs, fed me broth, told me I wasn't beyond saving. Don't stand there and tell me you've forgotten that." Her lips trembled. "That was years ago. And it meant everything. This means everything now." "You're mad." "Maybe. But I'm right." Silence stretched, heavy with the baby's uneven breaths. She looked at the man's face, the hollows of his cheeks, the dirt under his nails. Something in his eyes was broken yet burning. "What happens if I say no?" "Then you'll hear her crying long after she's gone. You won't sleep. You won't eat. You'll wonder where she is and who's holding her." Her fingers curled around the blanket. "You can't put that on me." "I just did." The baby shifted, gave a soft whimper. She held the child tighter, her voice cracking. "Why me?" "Because you're the only one who knows what love costs." Her eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" He looked past her into the dark house, as if the walls were listening. "Nothing you need to answer for." "That isn't good enough." "That's all you'll get." She wanted to throw his words back, but her throat closed. She looked down at the baby again, saw the tiny hand slip free of the blanket, fingers curling as if searching for something. She swallowed hard. "You can't stay," she whispered. "I never planned to." "Then leave." "I will." His eyes lingered on her face. "But she stays." He stepped back from the porch, the boards groaning under his boots. The night swallowed him quickly, his figure fading into black like he had never been there at all. She stood frozen, the baby in her arms, the door wide open. The cries softened into small breaths, the kind that rose and fell like fragile waves. She pressed the child against her chest, eyes darting to the edge of the yard, but no one stood there anymore. The only sound left was the faint creak of the trees and the echo of his words lodged in her skull. She shut the door slowly, the latch clicking like a lock on something final. Her legs gave way beneath her, and she lowered herself onto the chair near the stove. The room felt too quiet now, the silence sharp. She whispered into the dark, "What kind of love did I give you?" The baby stirred, restless, as if waiting for an answer. Her voice dropped to a broken rasp. "And what kind of love will I pay now?" The child did not answer. I only breathed. She leaned back, eyes burning, the night pressing against the walls. The knock still rang in her ears, steady as a heartbeat that would not let her sleep. The baby's cries filled the room, sharp and thin against the low hum of the stove. She rocked in the chair, arms stiff, eyes fixed on the wagon wheel maker who leaned against the wall like he owned the space. His boots left streaks of dirt on the floorboards, his coat sagging, heavy with road dust. He didn't move to take the child back. He just stood there, jaw tight, eyes hollow. Her voice cut through the noise. "You're going to tell me where she came from?" He shook his head. "Not tonight." "Yes, tonight, right now." His gaze dropped to the floor. "Doesn't matter where. What matters is that she's here." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got." Her hands gripped the baby tighter, the small weight pressing against her chest. "I won't raise a stranger's child because you say so. You tell me the truth, or you walk out and take her with you." His voice sharpened. "You think I'd hand her to anyone else? You think I don't know what you are?" Her mouth went dry. "And what am I?" "The woman who pulled me from the ditch when my lungs were filling with blood. The woman who told me I wasn't finished yet. You think I forgot?" She swallowed hard, the memory scraping against her throat. "That was a long time ago. It was the only time anyone thought I was worth saving." Her jaw clenched. "You owed me a thank you, not a child." He stepped closer. "This isn't thanks. This is a debt." Her head shook fast. "A debt doesn't look like this." His words came quickly, clipped. "You gave me life. I give you hers. That isn't how it works." "That's exactly how it works." Her chest rose sharp with anger. "You talk in riddles. You don't say anything straight." His eyes narrowed. "I say what needs to be said." "Number, you dodge. You twist. You're hiding something." He didn't flinch. "We all are." The baby whimpered again, shifting against her, searching for warmth. She pressed the blanket tighter and stood, the weight making her legs feel heavier than they should. "If you think I'll keep her because of some half-spoken promise, you're wrong. You're already keeping her." Her voice cracked. "Because I can't let her scream herself blue on the floor." "Exactly, you can't." She turned toward the stove, trying to steady herself, but his words chased her. "You think it's about kindness?" he said. "It's not. It's an inheritance, flesh passed on. You don't turn away from that." Her throat tightened. "Inheritance from who?" He said nothing. "Say it." His silence was loud. "Say it." He met her eyes, steady, unblinking. "She belongs to no one now, except you." Her knees weakened, but she steadied herself against the chair. "You can't decide that." "I already did." Her anger rose hot. "I never asked for this." "Neither did I." The words cut her deeper than she expected. She looked at him, searching for something human under the grit and stubbornness. His face held nothing but tired resolve. She whispered, almost pleading, "Tell me the truth. Was she born into trouble?" He stared at the baby, then back at her. "All of us were." She stepped forward, her voice sharp as glass. "If the sheriff comes here asking questions, I'll tell him you forced this on me." He shook his head slowly. "Number, you won't. You don't know me." "I know enough. You'd never hand her over." Her lips parted, but no words came. He was right, and that truth burned worse than lies. She turned her face away, fighting the weight in her chest. The room felt too small, the air thick with smoke and memory. She whispered, "What kind of life do you think she'll have here?" "The kind you'll give her." Her breath shook. "And if I fail?" He leaned closer, voice low. "You won't." Silence stretched between them, broken only by the crackle of the fire and the soft breaths of the baby. Her mind reeled back to that night long ago. The blood, the ditch, the way he clung to her voice like it was rope. She had saved him without thinking, and now he stood here, demanding she do it again in a different shape. She looked down at the baby's face, small and unknowing. The child stirred, eyelids twitching. She felt a pull inside her, equal parts fear and duty. Her voice was faint. "This isn't kindness. It's a sentence." He nodded once. "Maybe. But it's yours." Her eyes burned. "Why couldn't you leave me alone?" "Because I never was alone after that night. You carried me. Now you carry her." Her chest rose heavy, her heart hammering so hard she thought he might hear it. She wanted to scream at him, to push him out the door, to send the baby with him into the dark. But her arms didn't move. Her grip only tightened. She met his gaze, her words trembling. "If I keep her, I want answers. One day. Number now. You'll get them when it's time. I don't trust you. Don't need to. Trust yourself." Her voice cracked with fury. "I hate you." His eyes didn't blink. "Good. Hate keeps you awake." The baby let out a soft cry, then quieted again. her small mouth rooting for warmth. The woman felt something break inside her chest, something that wouldn't mend. She sat back down, rocking the child against her shoulder, tears slipping down her face without sound. The wagon wheel maker watched, his hands clenched, his eyes hollow. He gave no comfort, no apology, only stood there, as if he had passed on a burden too heavy for him to carry. She whispered to the child, not to him, "You shouldn't be here." The baby shifted, soft and warm, clinging without choice. Her voice lowered, bitter and raw. "But neither should I." The man turned toward the door. "It's done." She didn't stop him. Couldn't. The sound of the latch echoed through the room as he stepped into the night. She sat there, holding the child like a verdict, knowing the weight of it would never leave her arms. The first light came thin, streaking across the floorboards. She hadn't slept. The baby stirred fitfully in the cradle she'd pulled out from under a quilt, an old thing that had belonged to her own lost child. Every creak of the rocking chair carried through the silent house. Then came the sound of boots on gravel, slow, measured, deliberate. Her body tensed. The knock at the door was lighter than the wheelmaker's had been, but colder. She stood, baby in arms this time, and opened the door to find the sheriff. His hat shadowed his eyes, his badge dulled by dust. His hand rested on his belt like it always did, close to the holster, but never fully idle. "Morning," he said. Her throat tightened. "Sheriff." His gaze slid past her shoulder into the house. "Have you seen him?" She held the baby closer. "Seen who?" "You know who. Wagon wheel maker." Her silence stretched too long. The sheriff stepped forward, eyes catching the bundle in her arms. He spoke slowly, each word heavy. "That's new." Her voice caught. "She's mine." "Funny. Didn't know what you were expecting." She looked down at the baby's face. "Not everything is your business." "Everything is. If it walks past my watch at night." The wheelmaker's voice came from behind her. "You're still watching then? Though you gave that up years ago." The sheriff's jaw tightened. He shifted his weight, boots grinding the dirt. "You're out past curfew, again." "I go where I please. Not in my town." The wheelmaker stepped into view, dirt still clinging to his clothes, his face unreadable. The air between them thickened. The sheriff's eyes flicked back to the baby. "Whose is she?" The wheelmaker's tone was flat. "Not yours." That wasn't the question. Didn't sound like one either. The woman's pulse hammered. She stood in the middle of their standoff, clutching the child as if the silence itself might reach out and take her. The sheriff's gaze lingered. "I should be told where she came from." "You should mind your own house." The wheelmaker snapped. The sheriff took a slow step closer. "Careful, I could call this kidnapping, or worse." The woman broke in, her voice shaking but steady enough. "She's safe here. That's all that matters." The sheriff turned his eyes on her, softer, but no kinder. "Do you trust him that much?" She didn't answer. The sheriff's lips twitched in something close to a smile. "You always had a blind spot for lost men." The wheelmaker's hand curled into a fist. "Say what you came to say." "I said it." His gaze lingered again on the child, long enough to burn. Then he tipped his hat, slow. "I'll be back." He turned, boots crunching across the yard, the dust hanging after him like smoke. The woman shut the door hard, breath shaking as the latch clicked. She turned to the wheelmaker, eyes blazing. "What have you done?" He leaned against the wall, unbothered. "What I had to do." Her voice cracked. "That sheriff knows. He knows something isn't right. He always thinks he knows. You put me in danger. I put her in your arms. That's all." She shook her head, fury spilling out. "Number you brought trouble. You always bring trouble." He stepped closer, his voice low, sharp. "And you always clean it up." Her chest heaved. "Not this time." His eyes softened, just a flicker. "You already are." She turned away, rocking the child, the sheriff's shadow still hanging in her mind. She could feel his eyes even after he was gone, heavy as a curse pressed into the walls of the house. The wheelmaker's words cut through her thoughts. "Don't let him scare you." "He doesn't scare me." "Yes, he does." She closed her eyes tight. "What did you do to him?" The wheelmaker said nothing, only stared at the cradle, at the baby sleeping now in uneven breaths. She asked again, her voice raw. "What did you do?" Still silent. She opened her eyes, tears brimming. "You've ruined me." He stepped back into the shadow of the room. Not yet. The baby stirred, letting out a small cry. The sound filled the air between them, thin and fragile, but louder than either of their voices. She pressed her lips to the child's head, rocking slowly, her eyes never leaving his. The sheriff was gone, but his presence lingered. She knew he would return, and when he did, he would not come just for answers. He would come for power, and she feared the man who had placed the baby in her arms had already set the noose tight around them all. The baby's cries tore through the house, thin and sharp, shaking the woman's bones. She held the child close, her arms stiff, as if fighting her own body. The wheelmaker sat at the table, hands folded, eyes on the floor. He hadn't spoken since the sheriff left. She muttered, almost to herself, "She's hungry." His voice came flat. "Then feed her." "I don't have milk." "You'll find a way." Her jaw clenched. "You think I keep milk lying around for strangers?" He looked up. "You kept cloth. You kept a cradle. You kept everything else." Her throat caught. She stared at the old cradle, the wood worn by years of dust, once meant for a child who never grew. She forced herself to move, setting the baby down just long enough to warm a bottle with watered milk she'd kept for bread. The baby wailed louder until she pressed the rubber teat to her mouth. The small body calmed, tiny hands clinging. Her chest burned. "I buried one child. I won't bury another." "You won't," he said. "You can't promise that. You said the same to me, by the ditch. When I couldn't breathe, you promised I wouldn't die." Her voice cracked. "That was different." "Was it?" "Yes. You chose trouble. You made your wounds." And she didn't. She looked down, the child sucking slow, her eyes wet. "She's not mine." "She is now." Silence filled the room. The baby's swallowing was the only sound, soft and steady. The woman rocked her without realizing, tears sliding down her cheek. She whispered, "I swore I'd never hold another." "But you are." She turned to him, anger rising. "You brought her here knowing I'd break." "I brought her here because you don't break." Her breath shook. "I already did." His eyes stayed steady. "Number, you kept me alive once. Now you keep her." Her hands tightened on the bottle. "I should throw you out." "You should." "Then why don't I?" "Because you can't." Her lips trembled. "I hate you for this." "You hated me before." She let the words hang, the baby finishing the bottle with a soft sigh. She set it down, wiped the milk from the child's mouth, and pressed her close. A memory surged. Her own child, fevered and small, slipping away in her arms as she begged for breath that never came. She closed her eyes, the past bleeding into the present. She whispered, "I buried her under the elm. Alone. No preacher, no words." The wheelmaker's voice softened, almost a whisper. "I know." Her eyes snapped open. "How would you know?" "I saw you." Her whole body froze. "You watched me." "I wasn't welcome at the burial grounds, but I saw you." "You didn't cry." Her chest tightened. "I cried after." "Not enough." Her anger flared. "Don't you tell me how much grief I carried." "I don't need to. I saw it in your face every day after. You think I don't know silence when I see it?" She held the baby tighter, rocking fast. The baby stirred, but didn't cry. Her voice dropped. "This isn't a gift. It's a curse." "Maybe both." Her eyes burned. "What did you do to her parents?" His jaw clenched. "Don't ask." "I'm asking." "You won't like the answer." "Tell me." He looked at the fire, its glow weak. "They didn't deserve her." Her blood went cold. "And you do?" "Number, but you do." The baby whimpered again, pressing her face into the woman's chest. She stroked her head, tears sliding free. Her voice cracked. "If she dies here, it's on me." He nodded once. "Yes." "And if she lives?" "That's on you too." She looked at him, rage and sorrow tangled tight. "You've tied me to her. You tied yourself the moment you took her." The baby's breathing slowed, heavy with sleep. The woman carried her back to the cradle and laid her down, covering her with a quilt worn thin but warm. She sat back in the chair, eyes locked on the small rise and fall of the child's chest. Her voice broke the silence, soft but sharp. "She looks like mine." He didn't answer. She turned to him, eyes wet, voice trembling. "If she isn't, why does she feel like she is?" He finally spoke. "Because love doesn't care about blood." Her whole body sagged, the fight draining. She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking, the sound of the baby's slow breaths carrying through the room like a verdict neither of them could escape. The baby slept longer that morning, her breathing soft and steady in the cradle. The woman rose quiet, gathering what cloth she had left. The blanket on the child was too thin for the night air creeping in through the cracks. She thought of the trunk in the barn, where old scraps might still be folded away. The barn doors groaned when she pushed them open. Dust hung thick, stirred by the slant of light cutting through the boards. She moved past the stacks of broken wood, her eyes searching for the trunk. The air smelled of old hay and iron. She found the trunk half buried under tools. When she pulled at the lid, the hinge shrieked. Inside lay more than cloth. Her hands froze. Coils of rope, frayed but dark with stains. Boards marked with deep grooves, as if something had struggled hard against them. Tools rusted but sharp, their handles worn by use. The smell of metal and rot hit her chest. She stepped back fast, heart pounding. The wheelmaker's voice came from behind her. "You shouldn't be in here." She spun. "What is this?" He stood in the doorway, shadows pulling across his face. "Answer me," she said, her voice hard. "Old work," he muttered. "Work doesn't leave stains like these." He walked closer, his boots crunching against the dirt floor. "You don't want to know." "I already do." "Number you think you do." Her eyes burned. "Did you bring that child from this?" His silence was heavier than any word. She pressed forward, anger breaking through her fear. "Tell me now." He stopped just short of her, jaw tight. "I don't owe you the truth. You owe me everything. You dragged me into this. You left her in my arms. You stay in my house like you belong. You damn well owe me." He looked at the ropes, then back at her. "I left my debt in your arms, not my sins." Her voice cracked. "Don't split them. They're the same." He shook his head slowly. "Not for you." Her breath came sharp, her hands shaking. "Who did this?" He stared at her, his silence a wall. She shouted, "Who?" His voice cut low. "The sheriff's not the man you think." Her stomach turned. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying his hands are dirtier than mine. Always have been." Her head shook fast. "Number you don't get to throw his name to cover yours." "It isn't covered. It's a warning." Her voice rose, trembling with rage. "You kill and you bury, and now you want me to believe the law's worse than you? You think I'm blind? I think you've always known what he is." Her throat closed. Memories pressed against her, whispers from the town, stories about the sheriff that no one ever dared say too loud. She shoved them down, clinging to her anger. "You're lying," she hissed. "Maybe, or maybe you just don't want it to be true." She stepped closer, her fingers shaking as she pointed at the boards. "If he comes asking, and he sees this, he won't. You can't promise that." "He won't," he repeated steady, her hands balled into fists. "Why keep it? Why hide it here?" "Because I don't run from what I've done." Her eyes widened. "So you admit it?" "I admit nothing." "You just did. Number I gave you a choice." She laughed bitterly, the sound breaking. "A choice? What kind of choice is this?" "The same one you already made when you kept her." Her chest heaved. "Don't tie her to this." "She's tired, whether you like it or not." Her breath shook, her eyes fixed on the stains. "You're cursed." "So are you." The words struck her hard. She stumbled back, the dust rising under her feet. She looked at the tools, at the ropes, at the boards carved deep with old struggle. She felt sick. Her voice dropped low. "You think keeping secrets keeps her safe?" He nodded once. "Yes." "Number secrets don't save. They rot. They bury." He stared at her, unblinking. "And yet you're still holding one." Her chest locked. "What are you talking about?" His eyes flicked toward the house. "You never told anyone where your first is buried." Her breath left her in a rush. "That was mine to keep." "Exactly." She staggered, the truth of it pressing against her ribs. She had kept that grave hidden, silent under the elm, never letting another soul near, the same silence she accused him of now. Her voice trembled. "This isn't the same. It's always the same." She turned from him, grabbing the scrap of cloth she'd come for, clutching it tight in her fists. "You'll burn this barn," she said. He didn't move. "Burn it," she snapped. Still nothing. She looked at him, fury tearing through her grief. "If you don't, I will." He stepped back, his shadow retreating. "Then you'll carry it too." Her body shook with rage, but she couldn't move. She couldn't burn it. Not yet. Not while he stood there, daring her to. She clutched the cloth tighter, stormed past him, and back into the house where the baby lay. But the barn stayed behind her, breathing with its secrets, heavy with the sheriff's shadow, heavy with his silence. The baby's cries had worn themselves thin by nightfall. She rocked her slow, her body aching from the weight of silence pressing through the house. The wheelmaker sat near the stove, shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on the low flame. Neither had spoken since the barn. The air between them felt carved, sharp enough to cut. She laid the child in the cradle, pulling the quilt close under her chin. The baby stirred, whimpered, then drifted back to sleep. The quiet felt strange, too fragile, too much like waiting. She crossed the room to the drawer under her bed and pulled out a folded paper yellowed with years. Her hands shook as she opened it. The wheelmaker's voice broke the silence. "What's that?" "A letter." "To who?" She stared at the words. The ink faded, but still clear. "To my husband. Written after the burial. I never sent it." He leaned back, eyes narrowing. "Why now?" "Because it's time." He nodded once. Slow. "Read it then." Her lips trembled, but she began. "I wrote. I buried her alone. The ground was hard. I had no preacher, no hymn, just my own hands. I waited for you to come, but you never did." The wheelmaker shifted in his chair. "Why would you want him to hear that?" Her voice shook. "Because I needed him to. I needed someone to know what it cost me." "And you never sent it?" "No." She swallowed hard. What good would it have done? He was already gone. Dead men don't answer letters. The wheelmaker looked at the floor. "Sometimes they do. In your head, anyway." She glared at him. "And you'd know that?" "I hear voices of the ones I buried." Her stomach turned. "Stop." "You asked." She folded the paper tighter in her hands, then read again. "I told myself I would not weep. I told myself I would be stronger than grief. But the silence eats at me, and I wish you'd come back, even to say nothing at all." Her throat closed. She lowered the letter, tears wetting the page. The wheelmaker's voice was low. "You were alone." "I still am." "You've got the child now." "She isn't mine." "She's yours if you claim her." Her words came fast, sharp. "Claim her? Like land? Like stolen things? Is that what you think she is?" Numberdy's breathing. "She's life, and you're the only one standing between her and the dark." Her chest heaved. "And where were you when mine needed saving?" His silence was heavy. She pressed harder. "Where were you when she burned with fever? When I prayed for a healer? When I screamed for anyone to help me?" He whispered, "I didn't know." "You knew enough to watch me bury her." His head bowed. "Yes." Her hands shook with rage. "And you stayed in the shadows." "I had no right." "You had every right. You were alive because of me. You owed me more than silence." He lifted his eyes, raw and unguarded. "I owe you everything, and I failed." Her tears blurred the words on the paper. "Then why bring me this child?" "Because I can't fail her." "You already did. You handed her off like a package at my door. Because I knew you'd keep her. You don't let go of the ones you love." Her lips trembled. "I let go of my own. You never did. That's why you still hold the letter." Her hand pressed the page against her chest, trembling. He whispered, "Read more." She hesitated, then forced herself. "I hate you for leaving me with silence. I hate you for dying before she was born. I hate you for never holding her. But I love you more than I hate you. And that is my curse." The words broke in her mouth. She dropped the letter into her lap, covering her face with both hands. The wheelmaker's voice cut through the quiet. "That curse is the only reason she's alive right now." Her voice came muffled, raw. "And if I can't carry it any more, then I will." She lifted her head, eyes wet. "You? You can't even say where she came from. Because if I do, you'll send her away. You'll bury her with the letter." Her anger surged. "You don't know what I'd do." "I know you better than you think." "Then tell me who." "Her parents were." His jaw tightened. "No. You said you wouldn't lie." "I didn't." Silence is worse. His eyes locked on hers. Sometimes silence keeps things alive. She wanted to scream, but the baby stirred. Both froze, waiting for the cries. Instead, the child only shifted, then stilled again. The room went still, the letter lying open across her lap, the baby silent for the first time all night. The woman whispered, almost to herself, "She's listening." The wheelmaker nodded once. "Then speak what matters." Her eyes dropped to the letter, her voice breaking. "I don't want to bury another." "Then don't." She closed her eyes, rocking slowly in her chair. The silence in the room grew heavier, but it was no longer empty. The baby breathed, steady and quiet, as if holding both their secrets in her tiny chest. The sheriff came back at dusk. His shadow stretched long across the yard, his boots grinding slow in the dirt. The woman felt the baby stir against her chest, the small body restless as if sensing the weight of his presence before the knock even came. She opened the door before his fist landed. "Evening," he said. Her voice was steady. "You've already been here once." He tipped his hat, eyes cold. "And I'll come as many times as I see fit." His gaze slid past her shoulder into the house. "Where is he?" She didn't move. "Who?" "You know who." His mouth twisted. "The wagon wheel maker, and the thing he brought with him." Her arms tightened around the baby. "She's not a thing." The sheriff's eyes flicked to the child. "Call her what you like, but she's missing property." Her stomach dropped. "Property? That's the word I'll use." He stepped closer, his boots on the threshold. "Where is he?" The wheelmaker's voice came from inside. "Right here." He stepped into view, his face shadowed, his hands loose at his sides, but ready. The sheriff's mouth curled. "Good. Saves me a search." The wheelmaker met his stare. "Search for what?" "You got nothing." The sheriff's tone sharpened. "I got plenty. I got a report of a wagon that broke down outside the old mill. I got neighbors whispering about a man carrying a bundle past midnight. And now I got you standing here, looking guilty." The wheelmaker's reply came quickly. "You always confuse guilt with survival." The sheriff stepped forward, chest out. "Don't test me." The wheelmaker smirked. "I already am." Their voices snapped like gunfire, fast and hot, each word daring the other closer. The woman stood between them, clutching the baby tighter, her silence a wall they both pressed against. The sheriff's eyes cut to her. "Are you letting him stay under your roof?" Her jaw tightened. "I let who I please under my roof." His voice dropped low. "Careful. That roof won't stand if I decide it shouldn't." The wheelmaker stepped closer. "Threats again. That's all you've got." The sheriff's eyes burned. "I've got the law." "No," the wheelmaker snapped. "You've got fear, and you spread it like sickness." The sheriff's hand brushed the edge of his belt. "You'd better watch your tongue." The woman's voice cracked, sharp. "Stop it." Both men froze, turning toward her. She stood stiff, the baby pressed against her, her eyes full of fire. "This house has heard enough of men talking about law and fear. You'll not bring it through this door." The sheriff smirked faintly. "You think you can stop me?" "I know I can," she said. The wheelmaker's voice cut in, hard. "She's stronger than both of us." The sheriff sneered. "Strong enough to raise another man's burden, strong enough to lie when I start digging." Her silence answered for her. The sheriff leaned close, his voice low and cruel. "You've lost before. You'll lose again. And when you do, don't say I didn't warn you." The wheelmaker's hand curled into a fist. "Say another word, and you won't finish it." The sheriff straightened, his eyes narrowing. "You'd kill me here, in front of her, in front of the child." The wheelmaker's voice was steel. "If I have to." The woman's voice broke through again, louder now. "Number not in my house, not in front of her." The baby whimpered, small and frightened, and the sound cut sharper than any blade. Both men looked down at her, then back at each other. The sheriff's smirk faded into something colder. "You're digging your own grave," he muttered. The wheelmaker shot back. "Then dig yours beside it." The sheriff stared a moment longer, then pulled back. His tone shifted, colder, clipped. "This isn't finished. I'll be back. And when I come, I'll come with more than words." He turned, stepping off the porch. His boots crunched against the dirt until the sound faded into the dark. The woman let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The baby settled, pressing her face against her chest. She looked at the wheelmaker, her voice trembling. "What did you drag us into?" He didn't answer, only stood there, his chest rising hard, his eyes locked on the door the sheriff had left through. The woman whispered again, broken and afraid. "What have you done?" The silence that followed was heavier than the sheriff's threats, heavier than the night pressing at the walls. The night was still, heavy with crickets and the faint rustle of trees. The baby slept in the cradle, her breaths soft against the quiet. The woman sat in the chair, staring at the dying fire, when she heard it. Wood creaking outside, a rope straining under weight. Her body stiffened. She rose slowly, careful not to wake the child, and stepped out into the yard. Moonlight stretched across the field. The sound came again from the direction of the old well. She followed, her bare feet pressing the dirt path, her pulse quickening with each step. The wheelmaker stood there, his back hunched, a rope tight in his hands. He was lowering something heavy into the black mouth of the well. Her voice cracked the silence. "What are you doing?" He flinched, turned, but didn't let go of the rope. His face was half in shadow, jaw clenched. She stepped closer. "Answer me." He muttered low, almost to himself. "No one climbs out of this well." Her stomach twisted. "What's down there?" "Nothing you need to see." "I'm seeing it now." His hands tightened around the rope, the strain pulling at his shoulders. "Go back inside." "Not until you tell me what you're dropping." He shook his head. "It's already gone." She moved closer, eyes sharp. "What was it?" His voice hardened. "Don't ask." "I am asking." "You won't like the answer." She stepped right to the edge, peering into the black water below. "Then tell me anyway." His eyes burned into hers. "It's better buried." "That's not buried. That's drowned." He jerked the rope loose, the weight splashing far below. The sound echoed up, hollow, final. Her breath caught. "What have you done?" "What I had to do." "Number, you've brought death here." He looked past her, his voice low. "Death was already here." Her hands trembled. "Does this tie to her?" She nodded back toward the house. His silence cut deep. "Tell me," she snapped. His reply came cold. "She's all that matters now." Her throat burned. "So you confess?" "I confess nothing." "You're hiding something." He looked at the well, then back at her. "I'm keeping you alive." Her anger flared. "By dragging me into your sins." "By keeping him off you." Her chest tightened. "The sheriff." He gave the faintest nod. Her voice dropped. "This was his, wasn't it? Whatever you put down there." His gaze stayed hard. "Doesn't matter whose it was. What matters is that no one climbs out of this well." She shuddered, the words chilling her blood. "What's he so afraid of?" The wheelmaker leaned close, his whisper harsh. "The truth." Her breath came fast. "And now it's mine too." His eyes didn't blink. "You chose it the moment you took her." She stepped back, staring at the dark circle in the earth, the rope coiled at its side like a snake. The smell of damp rot rose up, filling her lungs. She thought of the sheriff's stare, the way he circled words but never said them. She thought of the barn, the stains, the silence. Now the well stood before her, swallowing what was left of answers. Her voice broke. "You're cursed." "So are you," he said softly. Her hands shook as she wrapped her shawl tighter. The well gaped behind them, endless and black, and she felt its pull in her bones. She turned away, walking back toward the house, her steps quick, the baby's cry faintly carrying through the night. Behind her, the wheelmaker coiled the rope slow, his mutter drifting into the dark. "No one climbs out of this well." Smoke rolled low over the yard, thick and bitter. The woman smelled it before she saw the glow. She stepped out with the baby pressed to her chest and watched the orange creep high over the corn. The stalks cracked like bones as fire licked through them. She could see his figure near the blaze, hat tilted, arms folded, watching it burn as if it belonged to him. She called out, voice sharp, "What have you done?" The sheriff didn't turn, kept the crows off. Her throat tightened. "That's not your field." He glanced back, his face lit by fire. "It's my county. Everything in it belongs to me one way or another." The wheelmaker stepped from the barn, his eyes narrowed. "You always did like a match." The sheriff smirked. "Better than letting rot spread." The baby whimpered against her chest. She held her tighter, rocking slowly, though her own breath came fast. "You set fire as a warning. Say what you came to say." He turned, hands on his belt, voice clipped. "That child doesn't belong here." Her jaw clenched. "Neither did you." The words hung heavy. He stepped closer, boots grinding on the dirt. "Say that again." She met his stare. "You heard me." The wheelmaker moved between them. "You think burning corn will scare us? All it proves is you're desperate." The sheriff's eyes locked on him. "You should have left when I told you." "And you should have died when they tried to hang you." The wheelmaker shot back. The sheriff's hand twitched at his holster. The woman shifted the baby higher, her silence as sharp as a blade. Villagers had gathered at the edge of the road now, drawn by the smoke. Faces half hidden, whispers carried, eyes wide. The sheriff looked around at them, his voice raised. "You all see this? A thief in your barns, a woman hiding another man's mistake, and a child that doesn't belong." The woman's voice cut clear. "She belongs to me." The whispers grew louder. The sheriff's jaw tightened. "You can claim what you like. Doesn't make it true." The wheelmaker spoke fast, hot. "Says the man who claims every acre he steps on." A farmer stepped forward, hat in his hands. "Sheriff, there's no call for fire. That field fed families." The sheriff's eyes snapped to him. "Quiet, unless you want your own gone next." The woman held the baby higher, her voice strong. "She has a name." The crowd hushed. The sheriff frowned. "What?" "She has a name," the woman repeated. "Her name is June." The sound of it carried over the fire's crackle. The baby stirred, then stilled, as if listening. The wheelmaker's lips pressed tight, eyes fixed on the sheriff. The sheriff spat into the dirt. "June, you give a stray a name and think that makes her yours?" "It does," she said. "No," he snapped. "It makes her mine to take back." Her arms tightened, her eyes locked on his. "Try." The wheelmaker stepped closer. "You'll put a hand on her, and it'll be your last act." The sheriff sneered, but his gaze slid to the watching crowd. The flames roared higher, smoke drifting into the night. Murmurs spread through the onlookers, louder this time. Words like, "Sheriff's gone mad," and "burned good land," hissed through the air. The woman raised her voice so all could hear. "He says she doesn't belong, but she belongs more than him. He's taken enough from this town. He won't take her." The sheriff's face flushed red in the firelight. "You think you can turn them on me?" She answered without flinching. "You did that yourself." The baby gave a sharp cry, but she pressed her cheek to her head, rocking steady. Her silence after was heavier than any words. The sheriff's voice dropped low. "Dangerous. This ends soon, one way or another." The wheelmaker stared him down. "Then make your move." The crowd waited, breath held. The sheriff didn't draw. He only turned, watching the fire devour the last rows of corn, the smoke rising like a black banner over the town. The woman whispered into the baby's ear, but loud enough for him to hear. "You'll grow where the fire can't touch." The sheriff froze, then walked away slowly, his shadow stretching long in the blaze. The wheelmaker turned to her. "You shouldn't have named her out loud." "She needed a name," she said. His eyes searched hers. "Now there's no turning back." She looked at the crowd, at their eyes fixed on her, then down at the baby quiet in her arms. There never was. The villagers began murmuring again, some nodding, some whispering, all staring at the flames dying in the field. The sheriff's figure faded into the dark, but his fire had left its mark. The woman stood taller. June cradled close, her claim made. The wheelmaker's voice was low. "He won't forgive this." Her reply was blunt. "Neither will I." Smoke drifted across the yard, clinging to skin, to hair, to breath. The woman stood silent, watching the fire die slow, the crowd scattering into the night. She knew this was only the start, but for the first time she held the child with no shame, no fear, only defiance, and the sheriff had seen it. The field smoldered through the night. Ash floated across the yard, gray snow falling over fence posts and tools. The woman didn't sleep. She sat in the chair with June in her arms, rocking slowly, staring at the window where the last glow of fire had burned. The wheelmaker sat at the table, hands folded, his voice low. "He'll be back." She didn't look at him. "I know. You should have left when you had the chance." Her eyes flicked to him. "And where?" "Anywhere but here." "Then he wins." His jaw tightened. "You think naming her in front of them all made her safe?" "It made her mine." He leaned forward. Number it made her a target. The baby stirred, restless, and the woman hushed her, eyes locked on him. "If he takes her, he'll take me too. And I'll die before I let that happen." The wheelmaker's gaze lingered, then dropped. "You sound like me." "I sound like a mother." They sat in silence, the baby's soft breaths filling the room. Then boots sounded outside, heavy, multiple. The woman froze. The wheelmaker rose, pulling the rifle from behind the door. She held the child tighter, heart pounding. A knock came, sharp and hard. The sheriff's voice followed. Open up." The wheelmaker's voice was flat. "You come with friends now." The sheriff's reply was cold. "Witnesses." The woman opened the door before the wheelmaker could stop her. The sheriff stood there, 3 deputies at his back, and behind them more townsfolk drawn by smoke and rumor. His eyes went straight to the baby. "Name won't save her," he said. The woman's voice was steady. "Neither will you." He stepped forward, but she blocked the doorway. "Move," he ordered. "No." His eyes narrowed. "You'd stand against the law?" "You're no law," she answered. The crowd stirred at that, whispers rising. The sheriff's hand twitched at his belt, but he held himself. "This is stolen flesh," he said, loud enough for all to hear. "I'm here to take her back." The woman's voice cut through him. "She's not stolen. She's mine." The wheelmaker's voice joined hers, sharp as steel. "And if you lay a hand on her, you'll find yourself in that well you fear so much." The sheriff stiffened. The deputies shifted uneasy, glancing between them. The woman stepped forward, baby in arms, her words clear and hard. "You set fire to our food. You burned land that wasn't yours. And you call yourself keeper of the county? Number, you're its curse." The crowd murmured louder. A farmer's wife shouted, "She's right." Another voice followed, "We saw you light it, Sheriff." The sheriff's face darkened. "Careful with your tongues," he snapped. But the woman kept speaking, each word sharper. "You call her property, you call her nothing, but she has a name, June, and she will never answer you." The baby stirred, gave a soft cry, then went quiet again as the woman rocked her. The silence after the words stretched heavy. The fire in the fields was gone now, leaving only smoke and ash. The sheriff looked around, saw faces turning against him. He hissed low at her. "You don't know what you've done." Her eyes locked on his. "Yes, I do." The wheelmaker raised the rifle higher. "Best walk away." The sheriff glared, his voice breaking into a growl. "This isn't finished." She held his stare, her silence more dangerous than words. He finally turned, barking at his men. "Come on." The deputies hesitated, then followed. The crowd broke into whispers again, some nodding, some fearful, all watching the sheriff's back as he disappeared into the night. The woman shut the door slowly, her knees shaking. The wheelmaker set the rifle down, his voice ragged. "You turn them." She sat in the chair, rocking June. He turned himself in. The baby pressed her face against her chest, breathing soft. The woman looked down at her, whispering, "You belong here." More than him. The wheelmaker's eyes lingered on the cradle, then the fire-streaked window. His words came low, almost broken. "This won't end with fire. He'll come with rope." She rocked steady, eyes hard. "Then he'll find me waiting." The room fell into silence, the weight of the night pressing against the walls. Outside, the fields smoldered, blackened, but still standing at the edges. Inside, the baby slept, her name spoken, her claim made before all, and for the first time the sheriff's shadow seemed smaller than hers. The knock rattled the door so hard the baby startled awake. June's thin cry pierced the quiet, her fists clenching in the blanket. The woman pulled her close, rocking fast, eyes locked on the door. The wheelmaker's voice came low from the shadows. "He's here," she whispered back, sharp. "I know." The knock came again, louder, followed by a voice that needed no name. "Open this door, or I'll break it down." The wheelmaker moved, rifle in hand. The woman shook her head. "No shooting." "Not yet." His jaw tightened. "You think words will stop him? They're all we've got." The baby's cries grew louder. The woman kissed her hair, then walked to the door and pulled it open. The sheriff filled the threshold, hat low, eyes hard. 2 deputies stood behind him. His hand rested on his belt, but he didn't draw. He looked straight at the baby. "Give her to me." The woman's grip tightened. "No." His voice came clipped. "You don't get to say no." "I just did." His eyes flicked past her to the wheelmaker. "And you. You stand behind her like you belong. You never did." The wheelmaker's voice cracked sharp. "I belong more than you ever will." The sheriff smirked, stepping inside without being asked. "This house reeks of guilt." The woman shut the door behind him, the sound final. "Then breathe it in." "You brought it here." The baby whimpered, small and restless. She rocked her against her chest, steady, her silence sharper than any curse. The sheriff's gaze lingered on the child. "She's not yours. She's mine to take back." The woman's reply cut fast. "She was never yours." He stepped closer, voice low, meant only for her. "Do you even know where she came from?" Her eyes didn't blink. "I don't care." "You should. Number, all I need to know is she's mine now." The wheelmaker shifted, rifle still loose in his grip. "You circle your words like a snake. Just say what you came to say." The sheriff turned on him, eyes burning. "You stole what wasn't yours." The wheelmaker shot back. "Then why are you afraid to name it?" Silence cut between them. The baby's soft cries filled the room. The woman finally spoke, voice hard. "If she were property, she'd have no breath. But she does, and I'll fight to keep her breathing." The sheriff's jaw clenched. "You're digging your own grave." Her answer was blunt. "So be it." He glanced at the crowd gathering outside, shadows pressing against the windows. "They'll watch me take her, and they'll watch you fall." The wheelmaker stepped forward, rifle raised. "Take one more step, and it'll be your last." The deputies shifted uneasily, hands near their guns but not lifting them. The sheriff didn't move. His eyes locked on the wheelmaker. "You think you scare me?" The wheelmaker's voice cracked. "Number, but I scared the truth out of you." The sheriff's lips curled. "You want the truth? Fine. Tell her that you drowned in the well." The woman froze. Her voice came sharp, shaking. What did he mean? The wheelmaker's eyes stayed on the sheriff. "Don't listen." Her voice rose. "Answer me." The sheriff sneered. "He buried sins down there, mine and his. You think you hold something pure? You're holding the filth of this county." The woman clutched June tighter, her throat burning. "Stop." The wheelmaker snarled. "He lies." "Do I?" The sheriff said. "Tell her about the blood on those barn boards. Tell her about the rope that snapped." The woman's knees weakened. "Is it true?" The wheelmaker's voice broke low. "Some of it." Her eyes filled, rage and fear tangled tight. "You promised me she was different." "She is." "Then why does he speak like this?" The wheelmaker's breath shook, because he knows half-truths are sharper than lies. The sheriff laughed bitterly. "Look at you both, one clinging to a child that isn't yours, the other hiding behind silence, and you think you'll stand against me?" The woman's voice cut steady through her tears. "Yes." The sheriff turned, addressing the window where the crowd lingered. "You all hear that. She's claiming what isn't hers. She's harboring a thief. She's standing against the law itself." The wheelmaker's reply came fast. "Law doesn't burn cornfields," the sheriff snapped. "Law burns whatever it must." The woman's words followed, sharp. "Law doesn't steal children either." The sheriff's eyes narrowed. "Careful." She stepped closer, June pressed to her chest. "Careful is what you were when you lit that match. Careful is what you were when you sent men out at night to hide what you couldn't bury. Careful is what you'll never be again." The crowd outside stirred louder. Murmurs reached through the cracks, words like, "He's finished," and "She's right," drifting in. The sheriff's face flushed. He drew his pistol halfway, the metal catching the dim firelight from the stove. The wheelmaker lifted his rifle high, ready. The baby cried harder, the sound shrill and piercing, cutting through every word. The woman rocked her, whispering, "Hush, June, hush." The sheriff's eyes stayed on her. "You whisper lies into her ear. She won't live to hear more." Her voice cracked but held. "Then you'll have to kill me first." He raised the pistol higher, the wheelmaker's rifle aimed square. The deputies froze, sweat glistening on their foreheads. The sheriff's voice dropped deadly. "Step aside, both of you." The woman didn't move. "No." The wheelmaker's voice echoed hers. "No." For a moment, silence filled the room, broken only by June's cries. The fire in the stove hissed, wood collapsing. The sheriff lowered his pistol just slightly, eyes burning with calculation. "You think this ends here? Number, this ends when I say." The woman's words came calm, steady. "You don't say any more. We do." The crowd outside banged against the window, shouts rising now. "She's right. Sheriff's done." The noise rattled the walls. The sheriff's grip tightened on the pistol. He turned toward the sound, rage searing his face. then back at her, his voice shaking with fury. "You don't know what storm you've called," the wheelmaker hissed. "Better the storm than your silence." The sheriff looked at the baby once more, his jaw clenched tight, then shoved the pistol back into his holster. His voice dropped to a hiss. "You just sealed her fate," the woman whispered back, fierce. "Number I sealed yours." The sheriff turned, pushing past his men, throwing the door open wide. The crowd erupted in shouts as he stepped into the night. The deputies hesitated, then followed. The woman closed the door slowly, her hands trembling, her breath ragged. June quieted in her arms, whimpering, fading. She rocked her eyes on the wheelmaker. Her voice came raw. "Is it true? What did he say about the well?" The wheelmaker's face was pale, shadowed. "Some truths aren't worth speaking." Her lips shook. "But they matter." His reply was broken. "Not as much as she does." She looked down at June, then back at him. Her voice cracked. "If you lied—" "I didn't lie. I'm buried." The silence between them was heavier than the sheriff's threats. Outside, the crowd slowly scattered, but the weight of their words lingered. The woman sat in the chair, rocking June, her voice faint. "He'll come back." The wheelmaker's answer was low. "Then we'll be ready." Her eyes stayed on the baby, her words trembling. "I have to choose." He asked, "Choose what?" She didn't answer. She just rocked, the firelight dimming, the baby's breath steady against her chest, the choice still heavy in her hands. The baby stirred again before dawn. The woman hadn't closed her eyes all night. She sat by the stove, June bundled against her chest, waiting for the next knock. The wheelmaker paced slow across the floorboards, his boots creaking. "He'll come back," he said. She nodded once. "I know. Not with deputies this time. With fire or rope." Her voice was flat. "Let him." The baby whimpered. She kissed her hair. "He can't take what's already mine." The wheelmaker stopped, leaning against the wall. "You speak like you've already decided." "I have." The knock came then, softer than before, but heavier somehow. The woman rose, the baby pressed tight against her chest. She opened the door. The sheriff stood alone this time. No deputies, no crowd, just him, hat low, pistol at his side. His eyes were red, as if he hadn't slept either. His voice came low, cracked. "This ends now." The wheelmaker raised the rifle, then stepped through and end it. The sheriff stepped inside, slow, his eyes never leaving the child. "You can't keep her." The woman's voice was calm. "I already have." "You don't understand what she is." Her stare didn't break. "I don't care." He barked, sharp. "You should care." The baby startled, giving a thin cry. The woman rocked her, whispering. The sheriff's voice dropped lower. "She's blood from the barn. From the well, from all we tried to bury." Her stomach turned. "You mean she's yours?" He froze. Then his lips twisted. "She's mine to claim." The wheelmaker spat. "She's no man's to claim. She's hers now." The sheriff's face flushed, voice hard. "You think you get to pass a child around like a debt? Like coins? You both sicken me." The wheelmaker's voice cracked. "You're the sickness." The sheriff pulled his pistol. The wheelmaker raised the rifle. Both weapons hung in the air between them. The woman shouted, voice fierce. "Enough!" They froze. Her eyes burned. "You talk of claims and debts. You talk of barns and wells. None of it matters. Not anymore." The sheriff sneered. "You think saying it makes it true." She stepped forward, holding June high. "She's mine, and I'll cut down any man who tries to take her." The room went still. The baby's cries quieted, her breath catching as if listening. The sheriff's voice cracked. "You'll stand against me?" "Yes." His eyes darted to the wheelmaker. "And you." The wheelmaker's voice shook. "I'll stand with her." The sheriff's laugh was bitter. "Both of you think you're strong, but one truth will break you. She's born of blood you don't want on your hands." The woman's grip tightened on the child. "I don't care what blood she carries. I care what breath she takes." The wheelmaker's voice broke, low. "She's right." The sheriff's gaze flicked between them, pistol steady. "You'll regret this." The woman stepped closer, her silence heavier than the weapon in his hand. He faltered. The wheelmaker spoke again, voice raw. "Put it down, Sheriff. You've already lost." The sheriff snarled. "Not yet." But he didn't fire. His hand trembled. His eyes burned with rage, then with something close to fear. He lowered the pistol slowly, slipping it back into his belt. His voice came low, poisonous. This isn't over. You think you've won, but you'll choke on what you've chosen. The woman didn't blink. Better choke on love than drown in your silence. The sheriff stared at her, at the baby, then turned sharp and walked out. The door slammed, shaking the walls. His boots faded into the dirt road. The wheelmaker let out a long breath, lowering the rifle. His eyes met hers. "You did it!" Her voice cracked. "Number I just began." The baby shifted. Quiet now. She rocked her, whispering, "Hush, June, hush." The wheelmaker stepped closer, his shadow stretching across the floor. "He'll come back. I know. You'll need help." Her eyes stayed on the baby. Then stay. His silence lingered. Then he shook his head. "Number my shadow brings more trouble than it shields." Her throat tightened. "So you leave me now." "I leave her with you." Her eyes burned. "What if I fail?" "You won't." He set the rifle against the wall, his hand brushing the cradle once, then turned toward the door. His shadow slid across the boards as he stepped into the fading dark. The woman sat alone, rocking June. Her voice was soft but steady, words pulled from memory. "Sleep now. You're safe. You're mine." The baby sighed, her tiny chest rising and falling against the woman's heart. The house was quiet, the sheriff gone, the wheelmaker's shadow fading, but her choice was made. And for the first time since her first child's grave, her rocking carried more than grief. It carried a claim.